Hi everyone. It's finally stopped raining after 3 days and I can get out in the garden and get some work done. I'm excited to be out here. I've got a ton to do. We've got so much growing. I can't wait to show all of it to you. Welcome to week 9 of Riley's garden. Let me just start out on this patio bed. We've got one little cantaloupe plant that doesn't get a lot of sun there in the back left. Not doing so great. Marigolds and these cucumbers are doing really well, and that's buckwheat in front of it. And the buckwheat I need to thin out today. I also need to plant some more in between where I've thinned it out. We've got these tomato plants growing here, and they need to be pruned. And basil right in front of it, which I'm going to harvest a little out of today. Those are looking good though. Moving on, we've got more buckwheat that needs to be thinned out. We've got all those beautiful French marigolds. Growing up behind that are my sugar cube cantaloupes. All of this needs to get thinned out. And then there is the tomato plant we transplanted last weekend, and it is looking great. Moving on, before I get to the next bed, look how well the pepper plant is doing. I'm going to be harvesting that. This plant puts out a ton of peppers, and these little peppers we chop up and mix it in with some soy sauce and some chopped onions and use it as a spoon that over the rice we have with our dinners. It gives it a little spicy kick. It's great. Those are big beef tomato plants back there. They're looking fantastic. The buckwheat, again, starting to flower, which is cool, but they've got to get thinned out so I don't shade out all the marigolds behind them. And then behind those marigolds, you can see the cucumber plants. They're also looking great, and we've also got to prune those today. And I'll show you exactly what I do when I prune those plants out. Moving on, that bed I'm just going to leave alone and let it grow. Those tomatoes could get pruned, but I may leave that till next week. We'll see. I'm going to get some of these jobs done, and then we'll move out to the main garden and we'll show you what we've got growing out there. Okay, I've got all these buckwheats, and these grew a little bit taller than I thought they would before they started flowering, so I'm going to prune them to one plant every 6 inches. Now, I could bury these up underneath the mulch. It's supposed to be a very good soil builder, but I think I'm just going to put them in my compost bin. And then in between these plants where I'm pruning them, I'm going to be sowing some more buckwheat, because after these flower, I'm going to be reclaiming them, putting them in my, hello Bella, putting them in my compost bin. Do you want to help me? It's buckwheat, buddy. No? Let's take the big one, leave the small one. What do you say? Can you get down so I can do my job? Thank you. And let's take that one out. And that one out. You want some buckwheat, buddy? So, hey, our YouTube friends can't see if you're right in the way. Bella. Thank you. Go find your sister. In between these is where I'm going to be planting some more buckwheat. I'll show that to you. Bella wants to help out. What we're going to do is I'll just move some of the mulch aside. I put a little indentation in the soil, maybe 1/2 inch deep. And I'm just going to put 2 seeds in that hole. Oh, I missed the hole. And I'll just cover it over. It's been raining for 3 days, like I said, and the soil is so moist. I had to turn off well, actually I didn't have to turn it off. My watering system tells me when it's going to stop watering because of excessive moisture in the forecast, and it's been off now for almost a week. Again, hey Bella, could you get down? Or you just want to help? I don't have any snow peas. I don't have any sugar peas. These are buckwheat. Okay, thank you. No, I don't know if that's where I just did it or not, Josie. Do you want to say hello to everybody? Say, oh my goodness. Hello, YouTube. Hi. Okay. Down you go. Nice dress. I'm going to finish this job, and then it's on to pruning these. My cantaloupe plants, my cucumber plants, I prune the same way. The initial phase is I just clear everything up to about 12 inches on these plants, create a lot of good airflow on the bottom. You want to go a little bit slow because you don't want to cut that main growing tip. And there we go. Bella, you're not helping anymore. Growing stem. And take those flowers off. We'll take this one too right here. Job done. Moving on over to the cucumber plants. Hi, buddy. Before the cucumber plants, we have lots of peppers to harvest. And just gonna clip these off, put them in my little Tupperware bowl. Oh, that almost went right where I wanted it to. Love this plant. This plant's 2 years old. Overwintered out here. I top dressed it with some compost and cow manure. Put some all-purpose fertilizer on it, covered it with mulch, and it just is doing so wonderful. That's so great. Couple more, Bella. You gonna help? I dropped one. Don't eat that. You won't like it. No, you won't like it. So there's the, I think that's all for today here. And then all of these will turn in the next few days. We probably get this many every 2 to 3 days from this plan, and that really is more than enough. All right, on to the cucumber plants, right, Bella? You helping with the cucumbers now? I hope so. I need help. All right. I pruned these tomato plants 2 weeks ago, and they look, actually last week, they look so good. These are Big Beef from Johnny's Seeds, and they look fantastic. I have 2 fruit sets on the main growing stem, getting my first fruit set on this sucker that I'm letting grow up, and the same on this plant, getting the first fruit set. It does not need to be pruned today. Everything looks very good. And eventually, what we're going to do is we'll use this garden Velcro, and I'll use this to strap it to this trellis in some strategic points as it grows. This stuff works really well. You can reuse it year after year, and then when I'm done with it, I just put it right back on my garden hod, my garden basket, where Bella tries to peel it off. So, Bella, one more job before we go to the main garden, and we give everybody a look at what is growing out there. And I'm going to be pruning these exactly the same way that I pruned those. Careful not to cut the main growing stem. Bella, you're such a good helper, buddy. Really. That job is done, and also I wanted to show you guys, these are the 2 plants, the ones on the left that have been getting compost tea. The ones on the right have not. Again, it's too early to tell if this is making that much of a difference, but initial assessment, yeah, it might be. So I've got good airflow there. We're great for the garden today. Time to head out to the main garden and we'll show you what we have going on in the main garden. You ready? We gotta go to the main garden. Are you coming with me? Come on, let's do this. You're not helping? First stop is the compost bin. And we're gonna drop off, whoops. I don't have to fix that today. Drop off all my greens. I already got the basil out of here, so we're good with that. And that's good. While I'm out here, I mowed the lawn 3 or 4 days ago before it started raining. And that's going in there. As is this. All right. I'm gonna have to cover this with some, I'm gonna put some more water on there. I'll cover it with some browns. Looking good. And we'll do that a little later. I lost my helper. All right, first bed. Our first bed, zucchini, and I was really worried that I had the root knot nematode in this bed. But everything is looking really good. We actually have some zucchinis already growing. There's another one. These marigolds are going to get shaded out and die, and I'm okay with that. Their purpose was to try to repel the root knot nematode. Those are going to need 2 things in the coming week. And they're going to need to get a treatment of BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, and that will protect against caterpillars. And they will also need to be pruned, but not for another week. We're going to let them go. But I am so pleased that I do not have the root knot nematode in that bed. Here we've got 2 pepper plants and my mini sugar cube watermelons growing in the back, and they grow a little slower than I thought they would, but it's been really wet, as I said. And here you can see I've got a ton of caterpillar damage. And I got the little guy off there today. There's been no point to put the Bacillus thuringiensis on these plants because it's been raining, so it would wash right off. But it's forecasted to stop, rain again this afternoon, and then tomorrow I should be able to apply the BT. And BT is a organic, natural bacterium that's found in the soil. And when you mix it with water and spray it on your plants, if a caterpillar eats that plant, he basically is unable to eat anything else, and he starves and dies. And it really works fantastically for these caterpillars, this damage, for the tomato hornworm caterpillar. Now this bed is my butternut squash, and you guys see how light green those plants are? I thought there was something wrong with them, but the growth isn't stunted. You know, the temptation is always, well, give it more water, give it fertilizer, give it... I really encourage everyone just to wait. If the plant is not dying and it's continuing to grow, you may add to your problem if you don't know exactly what's going on. So I'm going to continue to let them grow. They really are growing really well. So I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm just going to keep my watering schedule the same and keep an eye on them. I prepared this bed the same way that I prepare all of my beds, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense that if it were something in the soil, that bed is doing so well. These plants are still doing really well. It's just they look really light green to me, but I've never grown this plant before, so maybe that is how they grow. I do not know. One bed I forgot to show you was the onion bed, and these are red rock onions, and they're starting to bulb up a little bit, they won't be ready for another month or 60 days. And when they start to fall over, we'll start to harvest them. And when we take those out, we'll be replacing these, putting in peppers in their place. All right, next bed. Golf balls, yes, Masters weekend this weekend for those of you that golf. That's what I'll be doing this afternoon. This bed is going to stay fallow this year. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to solarize it, at least this early spring. I'm going to solarize it in the coming weeks, kill off all these weeds, and then we may put some peppers in here. This was the one that I had really bad root knot nematode in. So I really need to solarize it, redress the bed with a lot of crab meal that has the chitin, and that's supposed to help with the root knot nematode as well, or attract beneficial nematodes. Here, more pepper plants and some more damage from the caterpillars. I picked 2 off today, so I have to put some BT on these, and then my sugar cube watermelons in back. And all those little white flowers that you see everywhere on the ground, that is from our giant moringa tree. And I'll do a video on this. That is just an amazing plant. I mean, we don't do anything. Let me show you right now how big around those are. Those just started out as little tiny plants like a year ago. I cut them back every year. I haven't cut them back this year. They're just massive. And basically what you eat off them is these leaves. Those leaves are really, really nutritious. And we make a soup with some mung beans, and it's not only very, very tasty, it is very nutritious as well. But I've got to cut this giant tree back. I mean, just look how massive it is. It's huge. Final bed with all of the moringa flowers that have fallen into it. I'll try to get a good angle here, guys. These are more zucchini. These are Dunja and yellowfin with some marigolds, French marigold in there as well. And these went in later than the other ones, so that's why they're smaller. And then in the back, you can see we've got some Vortex beans gonna grow up this trellis, and those should be fine. I'm not gonna clean out all these flower pods. I'll just turn them into the mulch. Our arbor is still looking a little lopsided, but the jasmine is growing wonderfully here. This is a nice pollinator attractor as well. We had to pull up and replant this one side, and so it's taken about a year for us to fill it in this much. It was pretty much empty last year. So one more year and this will be completely filled in, the same as this. And of course we've got the bird nests again this year. That's the garden 2023 week 9. Thank you for joining me in Riley's Garden. See you next week.